All right. We want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Can everybody hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
I can hear myself really well, so that must be going well. Well, thank you for coming out to our landowner meeting tonight. My name is Justin Keys. I'm one of the members of the Wasatch Open Lands Board. I guess just to start out really quickly, I'd like to introduce the members of the Wasatch Open Lands Board that are here with us, and you'll get an explanation tonight of exactly what that board is. I'll follow up, but we have Heidi Franco here in the front row, who's on the Wasatch Open Lands Board. Tracy Taylor's sitting right behind her. These are probably people that you know through the community. Cortland Nelson's right there, best looking man on the board right there, sitting in the back. And the most vibrant, of course, is Ryan Starks, who's right here on the front manning the camera. We really appreciate you coming out. This is an important meeting for us. We've been building towards this for some time. Meeting with you as stakeholders in this as landowners in Wasatch County. As many of you know, last year during the general election, a bond was passed, an open space bond, by the membership, by the voters in the county. And the voters in this county decided that it was important enough to them that they were willing to pony up to $10 million to conserve open space in our valley. Now what that looks like, as you'll see tonight, what we're looking to do is actually conserve sort of the agricultural heritage of our valley by encouraging landowners like yourselves to plan for the future and look at putting mechanisms in place that could potentially conserve it in its current state, right? Now myself, I grew up on a couple 100-acre farm, with my parents. I come from a farming and agricultural background, so this is something that I got very excited about as soon as I found out that it would be potentially occur, and I volunteered to be on this board, and everybody on the Wasatch Open Lands Board are people like me that just were willing to volunteer their time. There are a couple members of the Wasatch Open Land Board that I should mention, be remiss not to mention, who are not here, and that's Steve Farrell and Marilyn Crittenden, who are both county council members here in Wasatch County, and they're both on the board. Heidi was kind enough to prepare a slideshow for me to make sure I don't miss anything in the process here. So, the Wasatch Open Lands Board was created based, like I say, on that bond being passed. And in order to administer these funds, the county felt that it would be appropriate to have a board that would advise them in that capacity. What's interesting is this bond is actually the result of an interlocal agreement between not only the county, but also Midway City and Heber City. So Cortland and Heidi are both not only members of the board, but they're also representatives from the respective municipalities on that board. And each of those municipalities are behind this, and we're cooperating. In case you're interested, there's actually a formal ordinance that was passed organizing the board. That ordinance is helpful because what it does is it sets out the criteria that we're to evaluate when we provide or administer these funds. It's very important. So that's sort of our roadmap. It's a bit of legalese, I'll admit. If you read it, it may be a little bit confusing, but hopefully it's not too confusing. But you can get on there and see exactly what the criteria is we're weighing when we consider that. The definition of qualified open space is included in there, and it also sets out the official process in administering these funds, right? We're trying to be, one of the important aspects in guarding public funds like these is that we want to be fair in the way that we administer them. And one way to ensure that we do that is that we have a set of guiding principles that we will apply evenly to every application that comes before us from landowners looking to take advantage of those public funds. This is a lot of information, but I will tell you this is all in an open space packet that we have here, so don't try to memorize any of this or take notes. We have packets here on the table that you can take with you that will show you exactly how this process works. But just to summarize it quickly, and like I say, this is found in the code as well, the way that we've set this out is that the first document, if you're interested in taking advantage of these funds, that you'd want to fill out is what's called a notice of interest. And given that this is government money, we're huge on acronyms, right? So they're all over the place. When you see NOI anywhere in the pamphlet materials, what that means is notice of interest. Translated, all that really means is it's a short questionnaire, kind of like a dating summary on Match.com, where you tell us, here's what we think, here's a little bit about our property and why we think we're a good fit for the funds that the public has set aside, right? Some of those questions may feel a little personal, if there's anything that's too personal, like we have a caveat right at the top, feel free to not answer anything if you don't want to answer it right there, or feel like you can come into one of our meetings to discuss anything that's on there. You know, there's a question about toxic materials on there. If Great-Grandpa D, like mine, like to bury lots and lots of rubber tires, and maybe you don't want all the neighbors knowing about it and you're afraid of a grammar request, that's fine, just come in and talk to us about it. We want to know that's there. But anyway, there's things like that. But it's a very general sort of first look at what you're at. It's not a formal application itself, that notice of interest. It's really just letting us know that you're interested in sort of starting the process of talking with us as a potential funding source. The next phase would actually be sort of the application phase. After the NOI phase, after you fill out a notice of interest, is when you would start through the formal application phase. At that phase, we would actually encourage you to meet with one of the land trust organizations, the nonprofit organizations that we have here tonight to speak with us, such as Utah Open Lands and Summit Land Conservancy. They're very qualified, and they can actually take you through our more formal application process to receive those funds. Once your application is complete, we'll actually review it as a Wasatch Open Lands Board. We'll likely give you an opportunity. We have meetings every month. You can come and speak at those. It'll be a fairly formal yet informal process, but that's where we'll review and determine whether or not we think it meets the criteria that's set out in the code. At that point, we'll make an official recommendation, sort of a heads up or heads down. We're not the decision maker, but we will give our recommendation, which will then head over to the county council, and the county council will be the final determiner and arbiter as to whether or not this is something we want to, you know, whatever it is you proposed is something we want to spend public funds on. But it really shouldn't be a mystery. If you read the code, which we've set out in more layman's term in our landowner packet, you know, you can see exactly, you know, we set out the criteria there of the types of properties we're looking for and the types of mechanisms we'd like to use in conserving those. DNOI, of course, is on that landowner packet. We encourage you to work with that. If you need additional information, or if, like me, you pick up some of these papers tonight and by the time you get home you've lost them, right? All of the same information is available on our website. That's the website address, but I think if you just, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, if they just search Utah, or Wasatch Open Lands, or Wasatch Open Lands Board, our website will kick up, right? Yeah, so I mean, if you just Google it, at the end of the day, you'll be able to pull up our website, and all of these same documents that we're showing you today, you can pull up there in an electronic format, or, you know, and be able to print it again or take a look at it again. It should make it fairly simple. I think a lot of you have your smartphones out already. You're either checking Instagram or you're looking at the Wasatch Open Lands. Either way, I'm impressed, so that's great. Okay, and this is what the website should look like when you get there. That's actually right there. And we'll continue to populate information onto that website as time goes on if you have additional questions that come up. Fortunately, you don't have to listen to me all night. I'll actually keep it very brief. So at this point, we have the pleasure of having here with us Wade Garrett, who's the Vice President of Strategic Relations for the Farm Bureau. And I think he's going to be introduced by Mr. Kohler. Is that correct? All right, Mr. Kohler, with that, we'll turn the time over to you.